Hi, it's Diane at My Sacred Circles, and I want to wish you a happy Earth Day. Earth Day is a great example of how sometimes it takes tragic events to really awaken the consciousness of people. For nearly 20 years, marine biologist and environmentalist Rachel Carson had been priming the public on environmental awareness when the largest oil spill in the U.S. happened in January of 1969. Now, since that has slipped into the third position, but at the time it was the largest oil spill in U.S. history. Workers had drilled 4 wells from Platform A off of the coast of Santa Barbara in California. Union Oil, the company drilling for oil, was on its 14th day of drilling on January 28th when, while they were drilling the 5th well, they created back pressure that overwhelmed the well's safety systems, allowing crude oil and natural gas, everything. It was trapped thousands of feet down, and it burst into an explosion, triggering a natural fault line only a few hundred yards away. According to an NPR interview with Douglas McCauley, a marine biologist at the University of California, they had capped off the blowout successfully, but they created so much pressure at the bottom of the well that it actually broke open the seabed. Now, one of the things that I had discovered was better reinforcement of the well might have prevented the spill, but Union Oil had received a waiver from the government that allowed them to drill without installing a steel casing pipe to the depth that's usually required by federal regulations. So instead, we ended up with an environmental assault that allowed 3 million gallons of crude oil to pollute more than 800 square miles of the Pacific Ocean and 35 miles of beach, killing thousands of animals. Now, local activists immediately emerged on the scene, and this was the impetus for Earth Day. The following year, April 22nd, 1970, Earth Day celebrated our Mother Earth and our commitment and need to protect it. Between the rise of environmentalism in the nation during the 60s and the wealthy district that this impacted, the environment shifted from a hippies issue to a bipartisan concern. And like a lotus flower, we have many of the environmental programs today because of this horrible incident. Since its inception to now, it has grown from the U.S. celebrating it on April 22nd every year to 192 countries. And in some places, some people do this as a week-long observance. So each year carries a new theme, and this year's is Restore Our Earth. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how we do it at our house and hope it gives you some ideas. And just to preface this, one of the ways when we started this, we have brown thumbs. I always said, if you want to kill your weeds, give it to us to take care of, because we are so bad at like growing things and maintaining a plant. And we decided we were going to try once again to do a garden. And when we were here in New York, we were composting, and we decided to do it this way. And this has worked for us. So Maybe it'll work for you. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do, why we do it, and what they say you should do versus what we do. Now, with the Restore Our Earth theme, the theme of Restore Our Earth, I really think about giving back to the planet, both the sky and the earth itself, right? And composting really helps reduce methane emissions. Now, as far as greenhouse gases, there are more carbon dioxide emissions, but methane is one of the greenhouse gases, and it's 30 times more dangerous as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. One of the things that happens when you throw your food waste into a landfill is when it has that pressure and anaerobic activity, it is producing a lot of methane. But when you compost, you produce significantly less methane, if any at all. And in addition to that, when you do a raised bed garden, you are drawing down carbon from the sky, and the compost is placing the carbon that you're drawing down into the earth because it is an open area. Raised beds are open areas where they go directly into the land and the soil. So it's putting the carbon where the carbon should be, back in the earth. And this is actually, instead of a zero waste or a minimal waste, it becomes a negative waste because you're actually pulling things out of the environment. You're restoring our earth. So how do I do it? And this is how we did it. So first we took a little area of land and we got rid of any grass or anything like that, and we sort of raked it over and made it as even as possible. And we wet the soil, and then we placed cardboard over it, and we wet the cardboard. And the reason we did this was we wanted earthworms to come and eat the cardboard and aerate the soil because they're really good for getting things going and aerating and having a little bit of that earthworm poop. Earthworms aren't going to destroy anything, but they are going to help. So we really wanted that. And then we had our frame built around this little area. So we built 2 levels up. So we did 4 posts and 2 levels of wood. And then we filled on top of the cardboard, we took a bunch of food scraps and we just threw it on the cardboard. Then we had our leaves and we threw the leaves over the food. So your food scraps are nitrogen based. If you have too much nitrogen, it will smell and it will attract animals. And so you don't want to smell any of that. You should never smell any of that. So you need to make sure that you have enough browns or carbon-based things like leaves. And so anytime we ever put our food out, we dig a little hole and we cover it back up with the leaves. It's been nice and neat. We've never had a problem with any smells. When spring comes along, we will do some grass clippings and we'll bring them over to the compost bin and we will layer the leaves, grass, leaves, grass, leaves. and then we'll hose it down and try and get things sort of activated. And any food we'll just throw in there, and whenever we put the food in, we just throw the leaves over. For like a couple weeks, we'll notice that it'll be really high and then it'll sink back down because it's decomposing, and that's great. Then we decided to take that compost bin and right on top of it do our garden. And we didn't know if the compost was going to heat up and kill anything, but it was all just an experiment. I forgot to mention that at the very beginning when we did the cardboard, we also, after wetting the cardboard and putting the food down, we also threw a bunch of large sticks because we wanted some aeration as things would be going in there. As a serial killer of plants, I can say we were very happy with the results. So normally gardeners would never consider planting directly into something that is entirely compost. They would mix their soils, and they would wait until it all turned to black gold and then use it. One pile would be a compost pile, and then another pile would be, one would be active and one would still be one would be ready for use. We were impatient, which is why we kill things so often. But we did, zucchini, acorn squash, lettuce, pickling cucumbers, and peppers all successfully. And the only thing that didn't turn out in that garden was our broccoli. And I think that was not because of the compost. I think that was for other reasons. So we were very happy with our results. Although I should mention that the carrots were extremely tiny. I think we might not have gotten them in early enough, though. So whether you choose to start a garden and compost and shop locally and get away from the agricultural big business, high pesticide, unsustainable practices, and go more for the organic, local options that have a better footprint, or whether you organize a cleanup in your area, or if you just do it on your own and you go around your neighborhood and pick up litter and garbage, and at the beaches, picking up plastic. Whatever it is that you do that can make the world a better world, this is the only earth we have. We rely on it. It is our place we live and breathe, and it is up to us to take care of it. We have gotten it to the place that it is now, and we can help to try and restore it. So I hope that you are able to do something this week. So enjoy, get out in nature, and take care and be safe. Namaste.